All right, we are coming to you live again. We're on the Princeton battlefield here at the location of the William Clark Orchard, which is where the battle is actually going to open up. The engagement opens up in what would have been an orchard right in this general area you see behind me, apple orchard, and it's Hugh Mercer and his 350 men that's made up of Virginians, Marylanders, Delawareans, and they're going to be fighting the 17th, mostly the British are 17th Regiment of Foot, and they're going to be firing volleys back and forth in this area. At one point, Hugh Mercer, who's on horseback, his horse gets shot out from under him, and then he's going to be on foot. But I'm going to turn it over to Phil Greenwalt. He's going to tell you a little bit about this guy, Hugh Mercer, his importance, and who he was and what happened to him here.
Sure. Hugh Mercer, he's a Brigadier General at the time of the Battle of Princeton. He gets his commission on June 5th of 1776. He will be he's affiliated a long time with the military, both in the colonies and across in his native Scotland, where he's born in 1725. As a 21-year-old, he actually is part of Bonnie Prince Charles in the Battle of Culloden Moor, which obviously leads to him to get a ship to leave Scotland. He arrives in the colonies. He is once again joins a Pennsylvania militia. He is part during the French and Indian War. It's the first time he actually probably runs into contact with George Washington, who will be a long-time friend of Hugh Mercer. He actually is at Braddock's defeat there on the way to Fort Duquesne in the early parts of the French and Indian War. The carnage there reminds him of the actions at Culloden. He actually will take his medical degree to use there, trying to provide care and comfort. He then, after the war in 1761, relocates to Fredericksburg, where he actually buys the boyhood home of George Washington at Ferry Farm. He's part of the Committee of Safety there as well, so he's very active leading up into the Revolution. He does get a command of troops, some New Jersey militia near the campaigns in New York the previous year. When those enlistments expire, he arrives down here and gets like Mark Maloy was saying, a mixed group of Delawareans, Virginians, and most importantly, those Marylanders. And so when he charges out here, he will be, as Mark Maloy said, knocked off his horse, clubbed and bayoneted 7 times. He's left for dead, but he does not want to be removed from the field. So somewhere in this orchard, they have it marked down there in the tree where they're going to do a site tour today, later for the anniversary. But he's then taken into the Thomas Clark House, which we showed you earlier. It's up on the bluff here, where he lingers for another 9 days, finally expiring on January 12th, 1777. His death, according to Benjamin Rush, a signer of the Declaration of Independence, another great medical doctor from the Philadelphia area, says his death is reminiscent of those from antiquity, but his life and character is reminiscent of the great cause that he fought for, paraphrasing that great quote for you right there. Besides Richard Montgomery's death during the initial campaign to Canada, he is either the first or second highest ranking American general to be killed in the American Revolution, but he's not the only gentleman, unfortunately, that meets that gruesome fate here, being bayoneted to death on January 3rd, 1777. For that story, I'll hand it back over to Mark Maloy.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the fighting here, right behind me, was some of the most brutal fighting of the war. When the British came up, they actually, many of them were not going to show quarter to many of the wounded, dying Americans here. And not only Mercer was bayoneted, there was another young man. You can read about it on our blog if you want to get more details, but his name was Bartholomew Yates. He was a lieutenant in the 1st Virginia Regiment that was out here. Now, the commander of the 1st Virginia was killed. Major John Fleming shot and killed. And then Bartholomew Yates, he's 18 years old, from Gloucester County, Virginia. He gets shot in the thigh, falls on the ground, and a British soldier comes up next to him, loads his musket by his side, and then fires the shot through his breast. Doesn't kill him, and then so they bayonet him 13 times. And then the battle moves over into this section. That's what we were talking to you about earlier. Washington rallies the troops, charges across this field. They retake this position. As the British are retreating, one of them finds young Yates on the ground, still alive, so they club him in the head with the musket. And that still doesn't kill him. He is going to linger for another 6 days. He is also going to be treated by Dr. Benjamin Rush, and he's going to pass away on January 9th, 1777. Another a victim of the brutality here at the William Clark Orchard. But yeah, so that's just a couple of the gruesome deaths that occurred out here on the Princeton battlefield. Where these men were buried, there's actually if you want to come down this way, you can see there's a colonnade on the other side of the road here. And just behind that colonnade is a mass grave for some of the British and American soldiers who died on the field. And it's really a special and moving to be on the field today on the actual anniversary when this action occurred. And as you mentioned, they're doing our friends at the Sons of the American Revolution here in New Jersey are going to be doing a socially distant Zoom ceremony for the men who gave their lives here on this field 244 years ago today. But stay tuned with us, and we'll come to you with some more action here at Emerging Revolutionary War.